From Wana Brands, welcome to Enhance Your Life. I'm your host, Jonathan Small, and each week I talk to people from all sorts of professions and backgrounds about how cannabis has enhanced their lives and how this healing plant can enrich your life too. Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Enhance Your Life podcast. My name is John Small and I am your host. Very excited about our show today. You know, we hear a lot about terpenes in cannabis, but what are they exactly and how do they benefit us? Well, my guest this week is Max Koby, who is the founder of Abstrax, which is a botanical extraction, terpene and aroma compound research lab and company. He is a cannabis advocate and a pioneer focused on the discovery of new valuable cannabis compounds, including the flavors, aromas, and terpenes. Max is really passionate about developing new products in the cannabis industry. He works with Wana Brands on their terpene profiles and their products. And I just wanted to get him on the podcast to talk to us a little bit about this mysterious terpene world. Max, welcome to the podcast.
Man, Jonathan, thanks so much for having me, man. Very excited to be here with your audience today.
So take us back a little bit, because your origin story of how you got into cannabis is really interesting. From what I understand, you had a health scare, right? When you early in your life. Can you talk about that and how that kind of got you interested in cannabis?
You know, I always enjoyed smoking cannabis, and then I had an excuse for it. But I definitely had a heart attack at the age of 17. That was from some rare virus that I was lucky enough to contract with a few other Marines around the time that lived by me. 3 of them died. I was the survivor. I was in the ICU unit for like 7 days with all these crazy infectious disease and cardiologist doctors. And they basically said, I have some rare virus that causes inflammation of the heart lining, muscle, myocarditis, pericarditis. And they basically gave me an handicap placard, told me never raise my heart rate again. They basically prescribed me to a wheelchair, even though I'm healthy working legs to walk and swim and skateboard and surf. And they were unable to prescribe me medication because they really did not understand the virus that much. And so from that point, I started consuming a lot more cannabis. I felt at the time that it helped reduce my anxiety, my blood pressure, reduce the swelling. It really, when I had these chest pains, it actually helped alleviate those. Plus, I was in kind of a negative place, thinking that I was doomed. So why not smoke more pot? My mom got concerned. She told my doctors about it. They did a little research. They concluded that it actually was benefiting me. And it was helpful, and the cake was baked from that point on.
So to speak. And now are you able to lead a pretty normal life? You able to exercise, skateboard, and do that stuff?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I believe mind over body. I was going to go, I used that handicap placard to go take advantage of the parking spots at the beach to get quick access to surfing. Definitely exploited it until I started getting kicked around by the seniors at Trader Joe's who needed the handicap spots.
Well, good for them. Yeah.
So then I felt bad and I threw it away. But yeah, I never let it really stop me. I just believed in adopting a healthier lifestyle, positive mindsets, and just trying to take care of yourself.
So how did you end up being in the cannabis industry, going from being a consumer of cannabis to actually getting into the industry?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've always been an entrepreneurial guy. If I wasn't painting curbs, I was selling pot, So for me, it was always a part of my life. We grew since we were little. So for us in Southern California, it was definitely a part of the lifestyle. It's easy when you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. I started my first company when I was 18 years old in the services industry. I continued participating on the fringe of the cannabis industry for a while there, until we started a family and the business started taking off for us. It wasn't really until my brother, who is an organic chemist, really started focusing heavily on terpene research and cannabis formulations and really engaging the industry again, that we started really thinking about how to make our mark in the industry. And so we had a lot of time between my partner, Jack, who's been my business partner for the last 18 years, and my brother, Kevin, to really watch the industry as it was just starting to go through legalization. Back in the day, my brother was like the trash collector taking people's unwanted trim and figuring out how to turn it into gold, and making some of the first vape pens out there and some of the first terpene formulations that were winning cannabis cups. And so, we got an amazing opportunity with where we're located and with our experience to just watch the thing evolve. And we knew that we wanted to research the plant, that there was a whole heck of a lot that we didn't understand that we believed could benefit humanity. And California is a trendsetter for the entire world as far as cannabis goes. And so with a focus on research, we really thought that most researchers were going to be focused on cannabinoids and the medicinal values there. And we knew that what really made good smoke was the terpene profiles, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we were looking for. I can't smell cannabinoids, right? But cannabis talks to me one way or another, makes me feel one way or another. And we knew that had something more to do with the aromas, or at least that was our theory. And so in our advances in the industry, we really felt a need to invest into the exploratory research of cannabis aromas, because this is one of the most complex plants in the entire world, right? Mm-hmm. We have these amazing breeders in California like Stravinsky and Josh D and all these other figureheads that have been breeding these exotic genetics to taste and smell and make you feel totally different than typical cannabis would, right? Yeah. And why is that? And so that was our mission in life, was to identify what makes cannabis smell gassy. Why does gelato smell fruity? What makes Jack Herer so unique, And this was the privilege that we got, and the honor to serve in this industry, was really to pioneer cannabis research for functional aromas, and then figuring out afterwards, okay, well, how do we replicate that product experience? What terpenes exist in the plant that may benefit a consumer? How do we formulate those into product to create consistency and predictability and a repeatable experience that builds consumer trust? And so these are the things that we really focused on pioneering for the benefit of the industry, the manufacturers, and anybody that's really interested in what makes cannabis unique.
Well, it's so interesting. You mentioned aromas, and that's kind of like what first drew you to the plant. I mean, to understanding that part of the plant. Are the aromas the terpenes? I mean, talk about what terpenes are and how they affect the smell of the plant, but it's not just that. So let's talk a little bit about what terpenes are.
Sure. I think terpenes are a generalist term that's used in the cannabis arena. I mean, look, terpenes exist in pretty much every plant, right?
Yeah.
Even in animals. It's a plant's natural defense mechanism. It's what gives plants its unique aromas. It's what cannabis plants produce to try and prevent insects from getting onto them. When you walk through a pine forest and you're relaxing and you feel invigorated and you feel peaceful, you're breathing in pinene from those pine trees. That is a terpene. When consumers are using essential oils in their diffusers, you are smelling terpenes. These are things that have not only aromas, but functional benefits for your mind and your body that have been used for centuries. And cannabis, has created an awareness for terpenes, because we all talk about terpenes and cannabinoids. And a lot of people like to generalize, well, if the THC was a gas pedal, then the terpenes would be your steering wheel. And there's a reason why there is this theory called the entourage effect, that we feel differently when we ingest different types of cannabis. And we believe a lot of that relates to the terpenes. But terpenes are a finite part of the totality of the cannabis plant, right? It's a diverse plant. It's got a lot of crazy compounds in there. And if we park all the cannabinoids aside, there's a whole nother Pandora's box to open there. But just on the aroma side, terpenes are the most common compounds that most people are aware of. Those are the only compounds that a typical analytical lab will test for. And we're most aware of them because most analytical labs have a standard testing panel that includes 20 to 40 terpenes. So that's what consumers have been trained to know.
Right.
However, there is so many more compounds in there. We've discovered a whole new class of compounds in cannabis that we are calling cannasulfurs. These are the compounds that give cannabis that iconic, gassy, skunky weed smell. When you smell someone smoking pot down the street, or you're behind their car and you smell that cloud come out of the window, you're not smelling
like every
terpenes.
day and living in California. Yeah.
Right. You are not smelling terpenes. You're smelling canosulfurs. You're smelling a very distinct aroma that is produced by the cannabis plant and other plants, but creates that really unique aroma. And we did a research study. It was a peer-reviewed study that we published on these findings, disclosing this family of compounds. And quite a few people picked this up. If you've seen the news feed, it was researchers identified the origin of these, cannabis's skunky, gassy smell. Well, we found striking similarities to the compounds we found in cannabis and the same compounds found in garlic that have been proven to give garlic its medicinal value. And now in cannabis, those same compounds exist, except for they may be more bioavailable because you're inhaling them, which means that they can do more good for your body. And so maybe there's a theory that exists that if you're smoking that gassy, dank cannabis, you might get sick less often. These are interesting things to think about, because there's a lot of health benefits or other benefits to your mind and body outside of terpenes. There was Jungle Boys has done a great job developing some amazing genetics. They got a pretty crazy diverse menu of different flavors.
This is a cannabis company based in California, right? Jungle Brothers.
Exactly. And one of them was an apple strain of some kind. We found the same isolates that exist in Granny Smith apples in that strain, right?
Right.
But we are finding esters, thiols, sulfur compounds, and other flavorants that are used in typical flavorings and found in other fruits, but also found in cannabis. So there's a whole complex story there of why different cannabis tastes differently, may remind you of other fruits and things that you're consuming in your everyday life, because those compounds really exist there.
The terpenes and the compounds make it smell a certain way. They make it taste a certain way, but they also, like you said, they're also the steering wheel, right? They also make you feel a certain way, and certain different terpenes, in my understanding, like a myrcene or a linalool, we talk about sativa, indica, that's kind of like old school way of talking about cannabis, but really the new way is these terpenes that make you have different feelings. Say some are more sedative, some are more uplifting, right? Is that kind of the way you look at it?
There's a lot of peer-reviewed documentation on research that's been done on individual terpene isolates, like I described with the piney, make you feel invigorated. It makes you feel peaceful. Myrcene, a lot of myrcene in the mango. There's those theories circulating around. If you smoke pot and you eat a mango afterwards, it might get higher, right? Because you're adding more myrcene to your diet, whether it's true or not. And so the industry has definitely started correlating effects more to terpenes, and definitely indica sativa hybrid, is an old school methodology. I don't think we're getting away from that anytime soon. So what I like to preach to consumers and brands is that if we can all shift our mindset to looking at indica sativa hybrid as it's an indica type effect, right? And then describing why this might make you calm or sleepy. Myrcene could be a contributor to that, right? A higher THC level could be a contributor to that. Certain cannabinoids, CBN, and other things could be a contributor to that. What we're trying to understand from the science perspective is when you combine these different terpenes and flavor compounds and aromas with cannabinoids, how does this drug cocktail work in your body? And everybody might be a little different. So yes, we know if I ingest myrcene by itself, it's going to make me calm. But if I ingest it with linalool and 10 other things in there, is it going to have the same effect? And that's the real research that's being done now by leaders in the industry to really understand how do we better educate consumers, because once you buy a cannabis product that you really, really enjoy, it makes you feel the way you want to feel. Wouldn't it be nice if you can go back there and get it again?
Yeah.
And that's what needs to happen for us.
What is a terpene profile that you enjoy?
Yeah, one of my favorites has been green crack. It's funny enough, I got a federal trademark on that one. Never thought that was possible. We enjoyed it at the Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam. It was one of the winners at the time and one of the cups we participated in. and we developed those genetics for a while, and mainly just because it was one of my personal favorites.
Why is that?
Yeah, it's one of those strains when you consume it, you just don't go to sleep afterwards. It makes you feel uplifted. It makes you feel focused. It makes you feel energized. And I'll stay up, all night long getting work done or cleaning my house. And I don't find that typical of most cannabis strains that I consume. And so that one has always been an outlier for me and something that, my body's been really receptive to.
So tell us exactly what Abstrax does, though.
I mean, at the end of the day, Abstrax manufactures terpene flavors. Mm-hmm. So we're using cannabis products, beverages, beers,
gummies,
edibles. Yeah, think of not just cannabis industry, but also in the beverage industry, CPG category. And where we made our mark was doing the best job at replicating and doing biomimicry, which is really reproducing the cannabis strain-specific aromas outside of the plant. So we're using the same isomers, the same chemical compounds that we're identifying in the plants. We're using hundreds of compounds that are natively found in the plant through our research at our licensed laboratories. We are identifying each of those compounds in nature. We're extracting those compounds, we're purifying them, and then we formulate them together so that I can offer a manufacturer a true to type cannabis flavor that includes everything that naturally exists in that plant and the best version of it. In your everyday lives, you're consuming products that have natural flavors in it. Even if it's your orange juice, that orange juice tastes the same every single time because they have standardized the formulation methods of creating that orange juice. Doesn't mean it has artificial flavors in it. It means that they have standardized the manufacturing process and they've been able to formulate orange juice that you love and you can get every single time. We are a flavor house. To be the best flavor house in the world focused on producing cannabis and hop flavorings, we had to invest heavily into research, product development, extraction methodologies. And because of that, we are able to sell cannabis-derived terpenes, flavors, and extracts in California. Because of that, we're able to sell the most authentic, true to type terpene cannabis profiles in the world, around the world. And we're also able to help manufacturers produce other types of profiles for hop and beer profiles, for other alcohol profiles, and other botanicals as well. Think of us as we're Jurassic Parking the best versions of natural products out there.
Sticking with that analogy, so my remembrance of Jurassic Park is they worked with dinosaur DNA then to create all these different dinosaurs. You're not working quite at the cellular level, right? You are, I mean, maybe you are, but you are finding, like you said, plants, flowers, like what are you extracting from to get these terpenes?
So we extract first from cannabis to study cannabis from flower through extraction. Most analytical labs are testing for between 30 and 40 terpenes. At our analytical lab that we own and operate and develop specifically for this application, we're routinely identifying between 300 and 500 compounds. Mm-hmm. And that allows us to really master the extraction and the understanding of what makes these complex cannabis botanicals different and unique. We extract that flavor, high terpene extract. We sell that in California to brands to help them make live resin vaporizers, to make infused edibles, to make a variety of different products. And then we also take that information and we extract those same exact compounds from other plants outside of cannabis. There may be upwards of 200 different compounds that we're extracting from other essential oils or from basil or from any other source.
Yeah, what are some of the plants that you've extracted from aside from cannabis?
Basil, lemongrass, black pepper. There's so many plants out there. We are literally looking for, at the chemistry level, it's myrcene, but it's a specific type of myrcene. There's a stereoisomer that has to be identical to cannabis. And so in chemistry, we're looking to identify the same exact compound in another plant that produces it in an abundance so that we can extract it at a lower cost in a more pure form. And we can offer the same exact compound in our formulations. Because these contribute to flavor and aroma and effects, it's exponentially more important that we standardize the manufacturing process of these ingredients. So at the end of the day, when I analyze on our analytical equipment, the cannabis plant profile compared to our cannabis terpene profile that is not derived from cannabis, but includes everything natively found in that plant, they're chemically the same.
Right. You never introduce a terpene to a cannabis formulation that doesn't naturally exist in the plant, right?
We have a specific line of products called the Native Series, which encompasses all of our research, and we only include the same exact isomers in the same ratios that are found in the plant through our research so that we could truly replicate an authentic product experience. And furthermore, we do not produce a cannabis terpene profile unless we can authenticate it with the original cultivators. An example of that would be Jack Herer, very famous profile. Many companies are buying that terpene profile from certain suppliers, but there's been very little research done on that plant. And if you really look and study it, which we did with Dan Herer, the heir of Jack, we got the original genetics from him. We studied it pretty thoroughly, and we discovered that there was one terpene called B. philandri in there, and it was over 10% concentration. Not one lab that I'm aware of has a testing center for testing B. philandri. So everybody's fundamentally missing what makes Jack Herer unique. So if you like Jack Herer and you want that experience, we got to make sure that we're replicating it accurately. And once we did that and we created the quality standard for the Jack Herer profile, and we get it blessed and authenticated by the original cultivator or breeder, and then we can then show chemically the similarity between the two profiles. Now we have a product that meets our quality standards that we can now offer to the market that brands can trust is authentic representation of a true to type profile. And that's what's really helped us to create uniqueness in the marketplace and provide some of the highest quality terpene profiles.
Can you tell me how you work specifically with Wana? I know you guys have been working together for a while.
Absolutely. I think Wana was very progressive at the time. They were looking to create some pretty specific terpene profiles to enhance their gummies and other products that they were producing. A lot of manufacturers out there use typical flavorings for making their gummies. And I think there's a lot left to be desired by a consumer. You're just consuming a cannabinoid. You're not getting the full benefit of the plant. And so what we reproduced was a full spectrum product experience in a gummy by designing a specific terpene profile that also contributed to the flavor and was a complement for their flavoring system that they were using. So now they can have a full spectrum product experience for their consumers. Made them helped them differentiate their product and made their product wildly successful. I think consumers really appreciated it. They were able to test and validate that terpenes do survive their processes and you are in fact ingesting these things. And most recently, we collaborated on developing some mood enhancing products that were for targeted moods. So we used some AI, artificial intelligence with our partners over at Budboard. We aggregated over 1 million data points on specific lots that had terpene profiles that we could correlate to specific reviews. We then ran all that information back through our system and developed a neutral terpene profile that didn't augment the flavor of a specific product. So now we have a product that we believe is a terpene profile that will provide the most targeted mood enhancement of any product we could offer, right? It takes the best of every cannabis profile, of every indica, and we said, this is the most indica. This is the most calming formulation we could possibly put together. And it's not 3, 4, or 5 terpenes. It's a complex formulation that we believe is going to enhance your mood for that specific target goal. And to quantify this, we went out and we hired Dr. Avery Gilbert, who's a world-leading sensory psychologist. When you go to his Wikipedia page, he's known as Dr. Smell. He pioneered a blind testing platform for trying to quantify mood impressions of aromas. And this guy's helped develop some of the most popular functional aromas in the world, right? And so we tasked him to do his blind study that has plenty of peer-reviewed documentation to support it. And we subjected our terpene profiles to his sensory study. And to our knowledge, and to his as well, this is the first time that a blind sensory study was done to quantify mood impressions of terpene blends. Because like you said, there's a lot of documentation and science out there on individual isolates, but we don't know a whole heck of a lot outside anecdotal information of how these things work together. And so we were able to correlate how these things work in real time. And the reviews that we got were extremely positive, very supportive of the claims that we were making. That allowed us to offer companies a foundational building block for them to create functional products, right? At the end of the day, we're consuming, but what are these products doing for us, right? And so if we can get away from just using any old natural flavor to using a flavor that make me feel more energized or make me feel more calm, this is functional flavoring at its finest. And we're using cannabis as the roadmap to inform our formulation science. And now Wana has been a great partner to us. We continue to invest in research together. We're now building upon the research that we started by moving into behavioral models, looking at blood work, looking at dosage rates, doing some really cool research with some leading institutions to provide further support for the entourage effect, to demonstrate that we know that when you consume terpenes, not just through inhalation, but through edibles, that it does demonstrate effect and it can make you feel good or different. And so these are the types of things that we're pursuing together. Again, Juan has been an amazing partner. Mike Hennessy over there has been probably one of the most leading innovators in the industry. The guy is just as passionate, if not more passionate than I am about all things cannabis, as far as it relates to how it benefits your body and how we could extrapolate more information for the benefit of consumers.
All right. I like to end the podcast asking this question. You have addressed this a lot in this interview, but it's really like, how has cannabis enhanced your life? We know certainly enhanced your life after your heart attack. You told us a little bit about green crack, but how does cannabis enhance your life sort of on a daily basis?
Oh, man, cannabis is an integral part of my life, from flavor testing to enjoyment.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Honestly, it's enhanced my life by merely seeing the benefits that it offers to people around me. To see people coming to me, telling me how a certain product that we have participated in has changed their life for the better, means that this plant is truly special. This plant is giving me the opportunity to help contribute to real research, innovation, and science for the benefit of humanity. And it's not just a typical drug. It's not a nutraceutical. It's somewhere in between. And it's got, nearly seamless, unbounded potential. And so it's changed my life for the better because it's empowered me to make a difference in the world.
Well, Max, that's a great answer. Great what you're doing. Keep up the great work. Max Koby, thank you so much for joining the podcast today.
Thanks, John.
Enhance Your Life is brought to you by Wana, the #1 infused product in North America. Wana's entire process is designed to deliver the same great experience time after time. They have spent years fine-tuning their recipes so that their products are delicious, consistent, and potent. For more information, head on over to wanabrands.com. That's Wana, W-A-N-A, brands.com.